Hello there and welcome to today's video. I think it's never too early in the year to start working on polymer clay Halloween pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns, so I've rolled out 3 balls of orange polymer clay here, so I'm going to basically wing it really today and make 3 different character designs. So I'm just going to start by shaping my ball into a very basic pumpkin shape. It's very like a sort of tangerine or nectarine at this point, isn't it? And as a tip, I've always got a wet wipe nearby, as polymer clay is always a bit of a nightmare to keep clean. So I'm just going to plot out at the top and the bottom kind of centre points really, because I want to basically ensure that I'm heading in the right direction whenever I'm making a mark with my needle tool here. So I'm just going from the top to the bottom and randomly just going round the pumpkin and adding in some fairly deep grooves. So here we go, here's the last one. So as a tip, polymer clay really doesn't like warm hands like mine, so particularly when I'm making pumpkins, I'll just set them aside every now and again just to cool down, because the more you try and work with warm polymer clay, the more kind of difficult it is really. So just best just to leave it to one side till it cools. So now I'm just going to go around my pumpkin and create some shallower lines, as you'll see here. You don't actually have to do this, it's just that I quite like the texture really. And every jack-o'-lantern needs a couple of eyes, so with my medium-sized ball tool here, I'm just going to go in and create 2 eye sockets. And for this one, I'm going to give him a mouth in the same shape as his eyes, so just press in pretty firmly with my ball tool. And because I've been handling the clay, some of the lines have now lost their definition, which is a pain, but easily sorted. I'm just going to go around again. So I'll just pop a hole in at the top, which will basically be the base for the stump. I've got some black polymer clay now, just to create a couple of eye sockets, and just press those down once I'm happy. And use my medium-sized ball tool again, just to create some eye sockets. And I'll pop in just some white clay for the eyes. I'll just neaten those with my wet wipe, just to ensure that there's no tiny fragments of anything hanging around. And I'll make a couple of pupils, and I'm going to make this one slightly cross-eyed. For the mouth, I've got some black polymer clay again. I'm just going to flatten it ever so slightly and pop that into his mouth and push in further with my ball tool. And I'm going to give him a couple of little tiny teeth just with some white clay. I think they look really funny like this. And you can do a bottom set as well if you like, but I'm happy just with the top. And again, just going around neatening off my lines. And I'm just making a very basic stump shape here, so I'll pop that in like so and press down pretty firmly. And for a little more character, I'll just add on a couple of eyebrows really, nice and simple. And a couple of little pink cheeks, just to make it look a little cuter really. And I'll go around with my final attempt at making the lines on the piece. So there we go, my first little pumpkin character is all done. Now at this stage I thought it might be a good idea basically to use a cutting mat underneath, because I sometimes worry about the definition of the polymer clay pieces on my channel, because I work with quite a light background really, but in all honesty I don't think it was really worth it. I've lost a bit of definition as a result, because I think the camera had, without me realising, focused way too much on the lines on the cutting mat, so these are ever so slightly out of focus for the last two character designs here, so hopefully you'll forgive me for this one, and lesson learned, I won't do that again in a hurry. I just thought it might, you know, give a bit more definition to the pieces, but oh well. So for this one I've got a couple of quite large eyeballs, and I'm making a very basic mouth shape, firstly with my scalpel and then my needle tool. I'm just pushing ever so slightly just to try and widen the gap here. And I'll go in with my small size ball tool now, just to add in a bit more definition really, and to ensure that the mouth's a little wider. So I'll just add on a pair of basic pupils. It's reminding me ever so slightly of the Honey Monster now. I don't know if you remember the original one from Sugar Puffs, but there you go. So I'll just give him a pair of teeth. And again, I'll just pop in a hole at the top, just for the stump to go. So nice and easy, just push that in like so. And I'll give him a couple of eyebrows. And I really like the simplicity of this character design actually, it's really funny. Just pop on a couple of cheeks. And just go around for the final time with my needle tool again, just to ensure that my pumpkin's got sufficient definition really. Now for the third and final character design, and I've done exactly the same with my needle tool to create the basic pumpkin form, so just popping in some black eye sockets and some eyes. And a couple of pupils. And for this one I'm going to go for a more kind of traditional jack-o'-lantern mouth, so just cutting in with my scalpel here a series of zigzag lines to form a smiley, spooky mouth. And once I'm happy with the lines, I'm just going to delve down a little further and start pulling out the clay. Like so. It is a little fiddly, so you know you might need a few attempts at this, but I think it's worth it because it really adds to the overall design. I think really it certainly looks very Halloweeny. And once all the clay is out, I'm just going to go in with my small size ball tool just to try and flatten that down on the inside really. And I'll go round again with my needle tool for the millionth time it seems like, just to ensure that the definition is there. So this one's going to be wearing a little witch's hat, so I've just got a round shape here, nice and easy. And I'll create a cone shape here for the top of the witch's hat. So I'll just pop some craft wire in and add the cone shape to form the witch's hat. Really simple but really effective. And I've got a little stretch of purple polymer clay here, so I'm just going to make basically a purple band to go around the hats. There we go. So he's looking pretty good. Just use a wet wipe to clear away any fragments or, you know, airborne fibres that you're not happy with. And here's a couple of eyebrows and pink cheeks. So now I'm just going to start filling in the mouth hole with some black polymer clay. And this is a little fiddly. You might want to bake it first before you add in the black clay if you're very new to polymer clay, because you know it might be a little tricky. And once there's enough clay in there, you can just start patting down with the ball tool. And I'll just finish off with my needle tool again. And I wasn't really happy with the eyebrows, so I'm just going to move those into a slightly different position. And there we go. So my 3 little pumpkin characters are all done and they're now ready to bake, so they're off to the oven. And at this point you'll need to refer to your own brand of Polymer Clay's baking instructions. And here they are, all done. Really happy with these. It's just a delight to work on pumpkins at any time of the year really, even if it is a tiny bit early for Halloween. I hope you enjoyed seeing them come together, and give it a like if you got this far, and I'll see you next week. Take care, bye bye.